Welcome to Generator Labs. My name is Linda Essig. I am the Herberger Institute Director of Enterprise and Entrepreneurship Programs. If you're not a Herberger student, you might not realize that the Herberger Institute is our design and arts college. And yes, there's entrepreneurship in design and the arts. How many of you here are Herberger students? Oh, great, a lot of you. If you're a student in HDA 252, Foundations of Arts Entrepreneurship, be sure to check in with Joanna Guevara, your instructor. She's right over here. And if my name sounds familiar, that's because mine is the voice on all of your recorded lectures. That's me. How many of you are Fulton engineering students? Great, great. Okay, engineers, meet artists. Artists, meet engineers. Go! At the end of the night, it would be great if we had a little mingling. That would be terrific. Any business students here? Yeah, business and Herberger? Awesome. Good, all three, good combination. And of course, if you don't fit into one of those three categories, you're also welcome. So this is the first time that Herberger Institute for Design and the Arts has worked with Generator Labs to bring in a speaker, and I asked for assistance from our student organization. So there is a Herberger Art and Design Entrepreneurship Student Organization, Herberger Art and Design Entrepreneurship Students. That spells Hades, because we're the devils. Hades, devils. Kind of get it. It works for the students. They came up with the name. So Hades is producing an amazing event this weekend called No Vacancy, and it's in partnership with the Foundry Hotel downtown, and it's a big festival of arts and design, and it was put together as a student project coming out of an arts entrepreneurship class. So the students conceived of it, they're running it, they created the business plan around it, and all of that stuff. And the president of Hades is here with us, and she will be the one introducing our speaker, and I'm introducing her. So the president of Hades is Nicole Perlberg. She's a senior in the Performance and Movement BA program in the School of Film, Dance, and Theater in the Herberger Institute. Nicole.
Thank you, Linda. Hi, guys. Thank you for coming. So Herberger Arts, I'll just talk a little bit about Hades. Herberger Arts and Design Entrepreneurship Students really is an awesome collective of designers, architects, theater students, dancers. We have a really, really, really awesome group, and really just centered around entrepreneurial thinking within the arts, in that artists are just as much as business people as any other facet in the ASU, any other program. We have a lot of fun. A lot of cool things have been coming out of the organization specifically. This weekend, No Vacancy, we've had a lot of fun putting that together, really connecting with the community. And just to plug this, the Foundry Hotel is just right off the light rail, so if you have any issues, you don't have transportation, and you guys want to come this weekend, you can hop on the light rail, and it's right off on Central, and the Foundry Hotel is right there. It'll be a lot of fun, 5 to 10. Yeah, so enough about that. We have a wonderful, wonderful speaker here today. She's actually a graduate from ASU. 2014 she graduated? No. 09 she graduated. I don't know where I got that number from. And she immediately, after that, she saw opportunity within the film and media sector of businesses, and she started her own media business. So I will let her chat a little bit about that. Welcome, Shaina Churchfield.
Thank you. Hey guys, thanks for coming and hanging out tonight. I actually have a really soft spot in my heart for the arts and the Herberger. I actually went to ASU West. It was before, as we just heard many moon ago, it was before the film school was really incredible here on the main campus, and everything was shifted over on the west side. So it was like it was an interdisciplinary arts and performance degree where I did editing and production and all that fun stuff. So it wasn't a dedicated program, but it was interesting when I was in that program. I thought that, okay, I'm kind of stuck in this place where I love video production, I loved acting, and I thought that the only way to do anything with it would be to go to LA and do that whole cliche, fabulous, horrible thing. So I don't know if any of you have given that a whirl, but it's daunting, a lot of fun, but it's definitely not the only way to go and make it in a passionate field, especially in the arts. So it took me a while to get to a place where I realized that there were businesses that can be utilized outside of, acting in LA or editing for a big production house. And I love where you guys are at, because had I known that when I was in school, I would have started my business a lot earlier. And so you guys are in such an awesome place that there's so much opportunity ahead of you, and you get to get started earlier before, life really has a chance to grab a hold of you and shake you around. And it's a really, really neat and exciting place for you guys. So congratulations for being on board with the entrepreneurship thought process, because it's exciting and terrifying and awesome all at the same time. Full disclaimer, it's a lot of fun, but it's, scary sometimes too. So just kind of an overview on how I came to create my company. I was in LA for a while. I was doing highlight reels for high school athletes looking for college scholarships, and it got to a place where it was very redundant. I wasn't allowed to use a whole lot of creativity within that. I mean, it was the same formula over and over again. And also, I didn't want to dedicate every weekend to hockey tournaments and baseball tournaments, and athletes are great. I am an athlete, but I was just like, this isn't right. And I think timing plays a huge part in everything in life, and it just wasn't the right time. It was getting really big. I was getting a lot of engagement, and it got to a place where I either needed to invest a ton of money in equipment that would keep up with what the needs were, which was producing DVDs. It was the DVD era, on demand at the tournaments. Whereas before, we were gathering the footage from all of these tournaments, we were burning DVDs, and then we were shipping them later. So I decided to take a step back and go into business. I had a passion for marketing and branding, and so I ended up doing that at a couple different companies. And it got to a place where I started to see a shift in digital, where social media was big, and video, I mean, you saw commercials and stuff, you didn't really see a whole lot on the web, and there was this sweet spot in 2014. I went to the Infusionsoft conference, and I was doing freelance for a business coach at the time, and I was running around with a camera, shoulder rig on my arm, and I had a crew. We were trying to create a buzz for this business coach, because really, how do you create attention for a guy who basically just tells you how to help make your business more efficient? So we decided to do this whole hoopla where we ran around with cameras and made like a whole to-do, and all of these business owners kept coming up to me and asking me if that's what I do. Like, do you do video for businesses? Because we know we need it, we don't know how to go about it. So there were two thoughts that I kept hearing that were consistent in the minds of business owners. The first one was that video is way too expensive, which traditionally it has been. You have these huge video production houses that are charging 5 to 6 figures for a 30 to 60 second video that you get one use out of. I mean, you better go to commercial, and then you're spending a ton of money on putting them, on television, on radio, through those spots. East Social, it was just starting to happen, but it was too expensive, or they got a really great deal, but they got burned on it, because now that DSLRs are affordable and everybody has iMovie, now everybody's a video producer, so they got garbage content, and now they threw money away that they could have used in any other way of their marketing. So I got angry, because I was like, there's a way to make this work. Like, I came from the school of, when I was in school, I was scrappy with my equipment. Like, I didn't have like $5,000 dollies. I got a vacuum cleaner, and I taped a camera to it, and that's how I got my rolling shot. So I was like, there are ways to do this that don't require, millions of dollars worth of equipment, and you can still get really, really great content. And now that the shift went to social and video on social, now you need lots of this content, and to spend tens of thousands of dollars on one piece of it just didn't make any sense. It doesn't generate an ROI. And that's where my gears started turning. I was already doing freelance, but I was like, there's a niche here that is not being met, at least not that I had seen immediately. And the fact that all of these people were asking the same questions, kind of the light bulb went off. So I went in the dark room, and I started creating a website and got everything dialed in, and my marketing background started to play with a video background. And my initial offering to the public was Wake Brand Media, which it still is, but we only did video production. Video production with like a strategy thought process, but most of what the content was that we were creating was coming from the business owner. So they were saying, this is what we need, create it. And I was like, okay, great. But in my head, I'm going, yeah, but like, who's your target audience? And do they care about what you're saying? Because you're speaking your language. You're not speaking the person's language who's watching it on the other end. Like, it's like speaking two totally different, it just didn't make any sense to me. And a lot of the businesses I was doing business with didn't have they weren't with an agency, like a marketing agency, and they were their own marketing director, so they didn't really have anybody telling them how to be strategic about it. So I just did the video production for about a year and a half, and the more I was hearing that people were making video, they loved their video, but they put it on YouTube and that was it. It was like, okay, well, we need to put some strategy behind this. So the first evolution of my business was going from just generating content that people told me they needed to now trying to help guide them in how we can make that one piece or three pieces or however many pieces of content strategic. Not necessarily how it would implement into any strategy that they had currently, but more or less like, who are you talking to? What do they need to hear? How are you going to grab their attention? Like things within that piece of content that were very strategic. And that went a long way because people were using their content, but then they were getting engagement out of it. But that ended up being it. It was like, great, okay, nice to meet you. You go on your merry way, I'm gonna go on mine, and then maybe they come back and do some more video for another campaign. But it wasn't consistent. So right now we're implementing Wake Brand Media 3.0. So now we are doing the management piece of it. We're starting from beginning to end because it didn't make sense to just have the middle piece. If you don't have an agency that's guiding you in how to create content, and I was really surprised also to hear that a lot of digital marketing agencies weren't incorporating how they were going to use video in their entire plans. They just kind of left it up to the video production company, which in my head, I'm going, you're doing the strategy and the marketing, so you tell me, how it's going to be placed within the strategy and how it's going to be effective. So I was seeing that businesses didn't really know what to do with it. They loved the content. They knew they needed it. Agencies, some of them knew what to do with it, some of them didn't. They obviously know they need it. They're hiring us on to create it. And I was like, okay, there's another need that I'm seeing. So now we're doing from front to end, the consulting at the very beginning. We're talking to businesses about what their game plan is, what they're trying to achieve, who their audience is. Do they have multiple audiences? Because sometimes you can be talking to brides and grooms, and those are totally different messages. You're gonna catch their attention in completely different ways. So now we're creating strategies based on all these different factors, and then we decide what the content's going to look like and how it's going to play. But not only that, then we figure out what's gonna happen after they engage with the content. How are you going to convert them then into a sale? What are you going to do after you sell them? Are you going to send them through a drip funnel and so you don't just get lost in the wind? Are you going to continuously offer them valuable content and keep them as a part of your tribe? So now it's a whole ecosystem that includes video heavily because video is the most powerful form of content statistically that you can use on digital marketing. But now we're just running the gamut all together. And we're also managing the strategies because if I'm gonna tell you how to do it, you may as well just let us do it for you. And it works out well because they trust us to create the strategy and then they also trust that we know what we're doing in order to implement it and tweak and make adjustments and grow with the businesses. So some of the things that I've learned over the evolution of the business has been that you always have to evolve. If you stay stuck where you're at, especially in technology, you're going to be gone with the wind. There's a time limit on all technology, as I'm sure all of you know. And to think that your one product is going to stand the test of time is small thinking. So we've had to, everything from the length of videos. If we can create 5-second Snapchat videos, they're going to be the most effective pieces of content because people don't watch anything more than 90 seconds, even if they're really interested in whatever it is that you're giving them. So I learned that you just have to continuously evolve. I learned a lot about what has worked, and I've tried a lot of new things based on the people surrounding me who have been really successful. You are a product of the people that you surround yourself with, and I've learned that. If you get into a group of a lot of my friends and colleagues are a couple steps, many steps ahead of me in business. They're crushing it, and I try to spend as much time with them as I can because I've learned a lot through osmosis and just listening. If you close your mouth and listen to what they're saying to you, you can learn so much, and your business will grow if you implement some of the things that you learn. But also, with the same respect, everything they say isn't gold. Sometimes you may have an idea and they may shoot it down, but if you believe in it enough and it makes enough sense, still give it a whirl. You never really know. I've had really amazing people who have done really well for themselves in business give me advice that wasn't good advice for my business. It could have been great for theirs, and maybe it was at one point, or it didn't really play a part in where my business was at right then and there. Because there are some things that you need to be at a certain level of growth or mindset to be able to implement. Because I can't really implement strategies that $1 million company is implementing, if I'm not even close to that level of being able to manage whatever it is that strategy is. So surround yourself with really smart, awesome, successful people, but also have your own ideas and be able to say, yeah, that's a great idea, but thanks, I'm gonna go ahead and give this a whirl. Another thing with the timing that I learned is we had one product that initially when I offered it, it flopped really hard, and you'll have those ideas. So don't get down on yourself when it happens, because it's gonna happen, and you just need to drag yourself up off the floor, wipe the tears away, and continue on with the next thing. And it was subscription video services. So knowing what I know about marketing and the consistency of content that you need to continuously be outputting it, I created a service that gave you consistent content, but you weren't on location every week shooting it, because it's ridiculous to think a business has that much time on their hands. So we would front load content. We'd go and have a full day shoot, gather video, photos, everything we need for the quarter, and then we'd go into post-production and give them pieces, their agency, their marketing director, whoever, pieces as they need it. So once a week, twice a week, whatever it is. But they're on a monthly recurring model. Through the year, we know that we have a recurring revenue stream. They know they're getting their content dialed in for the entire year. It's a win-win for everybody. But it failed miserably. Right, that was about 1.5 years ago. It's working now, because I'm targeting a completely different audience. So know your audience. Before, I was targeting small-sized businesses with that product specifically, and it didn't make sense because their budgets didn't allow for it, but I knew it was a good idea, and I'm like, this is gonna work, I know that it's needed. And now we reintroduced it, and we're introducing it to agencies. So we work hand in hand with digital agencies who already have told their client knows they need consistent video, they just don't want to deal with it. So now, they're the ones who are telling the clients it has to happen. We don't have to touch it, but they're making sure that it's a part of their budget so that they can be successful in their strategies. So good idea. I knew it was gonna be something that worked. It was just wrong timing, wrong marketplace that I was promoting it to. So trust yourself a little bit when it comes to big ideas and things that are exciting. And like I said, they won't always fly, but sometimes if you push them hard enough, they definitely will. Do we have any other questions that I should tap on? Let's hear it.
Yes, okay. So I guess I'll just start with, you were talking about evolving with technology. And so I know you kind of touched on it, but where do you see Wake Brand Media advancing as technology is advancing as well?
Yeah, technology is scary because you never know what it's going to turn into. So it's you may think that you've got something it may be working now, but in 1.5 months, something new comes out, and then it's God, now I got to change everything. We work really closely with a lot of softwares that are used in digital marketing, also social media platforms. So literally every time Facebook changes something, now you can advertise, now you can advertise in Messenger, and that has changed all the types of content that we create. So for us, it's just being ahead of the curve. This year, we're just starting to implement the actual management and the whole ecosystem of the marketing for video. So the immediate future sees growth and developing a big client base based on that. We are also going to change everything, all of our marketing, into service-based marketing. So not only are we trying to get clients, we're trying to get people who are, they may or may not be clients, but they appreciate the content that we give. They're part of our quote-unquote tribe. So instead of telling them, hey, you need this, you need this, you need this, it's giving them information that they find helpful in their everyday, in their business, that they can do themselves. So the 5 best tips on, creating a Facebook ad in video in 60 seconds. The best way to optimize your video for YouTube advertising, just giving. And when you continue to give, you become what they see as a leader in your industry, and then they trust you to do business with you at some point in the journey. So for me, it's more about becoming, the future that I see is obviously staying ahead of the curve, or at least at it, because staying ahead of the tech curve is just a thought that's crazy. But also becoming a resource for knowledge and education in the video marketing world, because it's kind of new, but a lot of people haven't really tapped into the education side of it.
So I spoke a little bit about how you obviously recognized an opportunity right out of college. And so what is your best advice to prepare us as students for after graduation who would like to start their own businesses?
Yeah, sure. The best piece of advice, I think, is surrounding yourself with people who have done really, really well. I mean, Idea Machine people are amazing. That truly has been the main source of my growth over the last year, that and tenacity. Like, when it becomes a necessity and a need and you just have to make your business work, it turns it into a totally different beast. The first year I was in business, I was kind of dabbling, like it was, okay, this could be great. Like, I had another source of income, so it was kind of like, oh, this might be fun. But the second that it became something that was like, this is happening and this is what's going to go down like hard, that's when you start to see real growth, because you start to pour your whole heart and soul into it. I would say the biggest words of advice I can give you is, yes, surround yourself with awesome people who are just crushing it, who are like-minded than you. Eliminate the people in your life who are shutting down your ideas and who are not doing awesome things with their lives. Just minimize that as much as you can, because you'll slide. And it's hard to keep those relationships when you don't have even close to the same mindset in business and in life, really. It's not just a business mindset, it's a life mindset. So yeah, I would just say the people you surround yourself with will make a world of difference, for sure.
I just have one more, and then I'm going to open up the floor to any other questions as well. So if you were faced with the same decisions today, what would you do differently? Oh.
I know, I saw that and I was like, ooh.
Oh.
If I were faced with the same decisions, I feel like I would have started sooner. Honestly, like, the one thing, I got started very late. Like, I did college late. I did a lot of it. I was an interesting kid, let's just be honest. But like, I wish that I would have known that there are opportunities to create an amazing business with something that I'm passionate about before I had done the whole like go to LA and play around thing, or like right out of college. Because life turns into real life very quickly. Like, you start talking about kids and marriage and all that kind of stuff. And while that's really, really exciting, it's very hard to dive your entire heart and soul into a business to get it to a place that allows you to have time for those types of things. So I would have started earlier. That's really all that it is. Like, I have a lot of friends and colleagues who, like I said, are just doing really, really great. Some of them started later, some of them started earlier. They're all super cool people, but like, the earlier you start, the faster it happens, I guess. Well, it really happens at the same rate. You're younger by the time you get to a place that, you're like high-fiving yourself. So, yep, that would be it.
Anybody have any questions? Yes, Jamie.
Right.
Awesome.
It's really fast, but like, how many people are on your team now? And like, did it just start with you, or did you grab somebody else? That type of like. Sure. And if you're going to grow, or like what you're planning with that.
Yeah. So my business is interesting because video production is one of those things where if I can't, having a full-time like DP, like a whoever does the camera work or whatever, having somebody full-time there doesn't make a whole lot of sense, because we may have, like at the beginning, it was like maybe a shoot a week, right? So I only need him for 3 hours. I'm not going to pay him a full salary. And most of the time it was me. I did all of the video production the first year and a half, 2 years, unless I needed like extra crew. And it was easier because I got to make more money and my prices were a lot lower. So at the beginning, it was just me, yours truly. My whole, like, I went to what I loved and what my passion was, especially in school, was post-production, because you get to be a control freak. They'll give you the footage and then it turns into whatever you want it to be. So I was a real fan of that. So it's really hard for me to let go of letting other people do post-production for me. But yeah, initially it was me. I brought on freelancers to do the production piece based on, I have a well of freelancers on both sides for production and for post-production, because sometimes it's really heavy and we need multiple people, and sometimes it's really light. I have one editor who lives in New York, and he's full-time. I just hired an executive assistant, and I feel like that's such a vain position to bring on. But honestly, like, I was looking at what my needs were. And this was a hard one for me because I sat down with a mentor and I was like, I know I need help because I'm drowning, which is a great problem to have because I'm just really, really busy and I'm getting great clients. But I was like, I need somebody to be full-time video production, and I need somebody to be a full-time editor, and I need also somebody to do all the digital marketing, and I also need 3 of me. So what do I do? Because I have a budget for, half of one of those people. So it turned into an executive assistant role who can be an extension of me, who will also do like account management type stuff so that, sand doesn't slip through my fingertips like it has been lately. So we have that person now, which is a godsend. And then post-production, I have a digital marketing girl. 3 of the 5 are remote, which is awesome because in tech, you can do that, which is great. You don't have to have physical people sitting in a building. You don't need the office space. They're able to work from home as long as you have the right people in those spots. So 5, 2 of which are full-time, 3, well, I guess I'd be full-time, so 3. But yeah, and then over the goal is 6 months to bring that part-time person into a full-time position that's no longer a exec assistant. She's gonna have more of a prominent role, but I'm gonna allow her to create what that's going to be, because if she loves marketing and she wants to come up with awesome ideas and create really great strategy, great. If she wants to be more of like a sales and like client management person, awesome. But I gave her the liberty to decide how she's gonna want to grow when she dives into the business and see what's it all about. Any other questions? Oh, all the way in the back. Hold on. I'm going to be out of frame. Sorry. No, you're fine. Here. I like your shirt. Yeah.
Do you have any suggestions on how you pick your target audience?
Oh, God. Yes, I got to go back over here because am I good here? I'm okay here? Okay, cool. So yeah, target audience is interesting because it depends. There's so many elements that play a part in that. So, like me personally or businesses in general?
Well, it kind of depends on the product, but like just to give some tips or...
Sure. So just getting in the head of the best person, like if you can think about who the most ideal person is, I'm pushing this table, I didn't know it's on wheels. If you can think of the person who is your most ideal client or purchaser or whatever, like for me, for instance, I have 2 target audiences. I probably have more than that, but technically I have agencies. So whoever is like the account manager or the strategy person of the accounts in agencies, that's a target for me. And then I also have marketing directors for medium-sized businesses. I'm kind of starting to eliminate the small-sized business. But like say it's a tanning salon, right? They would base it on physical demographic. They would base it on like who is the person that comes in who's consistent. Like they want to target somebody who they know is not going to come like for 3 months before a wedding. They want to target a person who's going to come every single month forever and ever, amen. So thinking about age group, to me that would probably speak to, I guess tanning beds are a thing of the past almost, but like 18 years old to 25, 26 maybe. You have to, there's so many pieces, what their activity is on social media, where they're landing. Also, you have to think about what platforms they're on. Are they on Snapchat? Like my demographic isn't on Snapchat, thank God, because I hate it. But I get that other people's are. So just basically putting your head in that person. A lot of people speak how they want to speak to you, but it's not at all the same. So there's a lot of elements. It just depends on what the product is, if it's a product, service, and how many audiences. But it starts with deciding who the best one is. Like you don't want to hit everybody. You got to target who you know you want to work with. Yeah, of course. Yes. Getting my workout today in heels nonetheless. You have to they won't hear you if you don't use the mic on the TV or on the camera.
Wait, I'm on camera? Oh, Stan, what's up, everybody? Hey, I just have one question. So how would you get like somebody with a lot of money to fund you?
Isn't that the golden question? So when I was doing that freelance job initially, right before I started my business, I was working for the business coach who was brought on by an incubator system. So if you're unfamiliar with what an incubator is, they're basically big companies that have money or they have access to people with money, and they bring up businesses that are already projected to do a lot of money in revenue, and they mold them and get them to a place where they are basically attractive to investors, and then they'll put them in front of investor panels and things like that. There are a handful of resources locally. There's also a ton in California, depending on what your field is. I think that there are a lot of investors who talk specifically to different fields. Like one guy does a lot of tech, and one guy will do, franchises and things like that. There's a ton of resources online, honestly. I didn't go that route. A lot of my friends did. They would probably be the better folks to pick the brain of, because I know enough to be like, go talk to investor groups, but I don't know enough to give you like super solid advice. But if you're really looking to find information, they can give you my contact information. I can get you in touch with some people who have gone that route. And I've heard positives and negatives to it, because I have a couple of colleagues who got a ton of funding, and they did all of their hiring and they bought a bunch of equipment and whatever, but then it wasn't sustainable. So it's also being realistic with what the growth and what your potential income can be. And I saw that hurt a couple of businesses also. So I think that there's a happy medium somewhere in there on how to manage it and how to grow with it, instead of just like full throttle straight out the gates. But you're also at the mercy of the investor too. So yeah. Anybody else? Yeah.
Okay. So I think, I can't speak for everybody, but like a lot of the entrepreneurship student groups, like the goal is, if you can't like create your own idea, to like join a team like yours. So who do you hire? Like, who do local entrepreneurs hire? And like, where are you finding like local videographers and stuff?
Sure. So the one thing that all my entrepreneur friends want is like somebody who's a jack of all trades. They don't want like one person who just types numbers on a computer. They want somebody who has great ideas, and then also is really great at implementing email campaigns, and then also they need to know how to make coffee, and then in addition to that, they have to be really great at content writing. And it's like, you basically have to be willing to do a lot of different things to work for a startup. But they're so much fun to, like, they're not all so much fun to work for, but a lot of them are just so amazing. And the opportunity to grow with startups is really, really cool, because you do get to, in many cases, kind of evolve your position into what you want it to be. But it's just being like flexible, basically.
Did you like find them, like, did you put a job listing on Indeed.com, and just know people?
Most of mine was through references, because I've got burned. And I mean, when you go on a first date and you get burned. I mean, if you don't know people, right? But I mean, like, I posted ads on Facebook targeting my demographic. I needed 18 to 25, like for the executive assistant, it was 18 to 25, male or female. The content and the ad matched. I don't know what's happening in there. Yeah. I made sure my content kind of spoke to the demographic. I kind of had like location, because the studio's in downtown Phoenix, so I didn't want somebody coming all the way from Surprise or South Gilbert to work every day, because that's not sustainable. I did that. I did Indeed. Indeed was iffy. I would just like for me, creative spaces, Facebook has groups and stuff too that I would also post to. But you can search for jobs through, like LinkedIn was a big one for me also. So LinkedIn and Facebook both have job posting areas too that you can always check into. I have a friend who it's freelance and job posts, and it's called Add to Phoenix. AD to the number 2 and PHX, and it's all creative postings. Let me triple check on the name of that, but that's all she does. So if you're looking to post, because you're graduating, right? Yeah. It's time. Yeah. And also another thing is just getting into the network of the startups is really great, because then one of them will be like, hey, I didn't need anybody, but this girl's really cool, and you should totally talk to her, because I know that you're now saying that you need X, Y, or Z. So, cool. Any other questions? Nothing? Yeah.
You want to go first? So sometimes I feel silly asking this, but I must. What struggles did you face and do you face as a female in the entrepreneurship world?
Every single, it's a real life thing. And you guys are still in school, so you don't get to do the whole going out into the real world thing quite yet. And some of you may have in some capacity, but women, you will experience it so consistently, it's tough because you have to have really thick skin. You have to not be easily offended. And I just had a conversation with that same mentor, and it's a 60-year-old male, and he even told me, he's like, the problem with being a woman entrepreneur is that it's really hard to still be like graceful and people like you and whatever and still be like a badass, you know? You end up having to kind of be a hard bitch, and it is what it is. And it's tough because you have to walk this fine line of still being graceful, but I find that not so much anymore because I'm sought at, like I have businesses coming to me looking for it, but when I was just doing outreach, if I had a meeting like 85% of the time with a middle-aged male, we'd have to have 15 minutes of conversation before I could have the real meeting. And it would just be proving that I'm not an idiot. I look younger than I really am, and I know what I'm talking about in my field. And I'd have to go through this thing where he would look down his nose at me, and then eventually at some point in the journey you make some clever jokes or whatever, and then he hears some of the stuff you're saying and it makes sense. And then we start the real meeting. Literally, it's like consistently 15 minutes in. It's like, I don't know if that's what the time ticking happens or like if there's like an actual timer that they press, but it's the reality. It's an unfortunate reality, and I pray one day, like for my kids, that it won't be like that, but it just is what it is. And I'm glad you asked that question because it's real. It's real life. It is, you know. So being a female entrepreneur makes you like super awesome and strong. So go and get it, and don't let the boys tear you down. Sorry, boys. You guys are all great in here, I'm sure. What? Oh, you did? You're just stretching? No, okay, gotcha. Yeah. All right. Anybody else? I mean, all that question's out of the way. We got, the gauntlet can get run.
Thanks, Shaina. So most of these students are probably sophomores, juniors, yeah? So they maybe have a year or 2 years left of school. What courses should they take if they're thinking about going into creative sector entrepreneurship? I don't want to approach the engineering entrepreneurship in this group, but necessarily. But in creative sector, what courses can they take to prepare them?
So I don't know what the courses are specifically, but what I can tell you is what I was lacking when I got into business. All of my courses, like I did the IAP program, which was a lot of fun. I mean, I did a lot of installation art stuff where it was like this and it's society. And that did not help my business acumen. So, I mean, it was fun and it was super easy. And I sometimes I took it seriously and it was great. But take some business courses. Like if you are an art student and you know you want to be an entrepreneur, go and foster the entrepreneurship part because you've done art. If you were like me, you were artsy and creative like your whole life. So fostering that is great, but going in and learning things about accounting. Like I was very fortunate that I was with somebody for a long time who was an accountant. And so he showed me how to use QuickBooks, but I would have no idea how to do that had I not gotten the crash course with him. Things like marketing courses would be amazing. Anything business related, truly. But I would say like the accounting piece, there's only so many books you can read. And let's be honest, once you dive into entrepreneurship, you should be reading books consistently. It's just really hard to start with the baseline of books, like how to do things that are so simple that realistically you don't think about until you're in that position. So yeah, those types of business courses are what I would have. I should have probably gone still anyway after I graduated, but yeah. Other questions? Yeah, keep on asking.
Where do you see Wake Brand Media in 5 years?
Sure. So I want to be doing a ton. I want the whole ecosystem needs to be like all of our clients. I don't want to just be doing video production anymore. I want that to be just a part of the overall big picture that we do. I still want to be working with agencies because I think that I don't know if in 5 years they may have already figured it out, and then they may or may not still be a client for me, but a lot of them don't have video production in-house. So I would say it's probably going to be split off into two areas. It's going to be like a full service for agencies just to be a partner, and then the full gamut of all the digital marketing pieces with a team that makes that happen. direct to business. Yeah. So in separating yourself is okay, because sometimes I even get agencies who cringe a little bit that I do agency work, and they're like, "Oh, you're going to steal our clients. We can't even talk to you." I'm like, "Why? That makes me speak your language." Like, I get the marketing part, and I know that where you should implement all these videos. So you basically skipped a whole step of conversation with me because we're on the same page. So, yeah, 2 separate entities, just crushing it. Lots of clients. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with that. Also, we're going to be doing, like I said, the educational series part. One thing we're just going to start gearing up with this year, and hopefully in 5 years, it's just rocking really hard, is like online courses on how to do the things that we do, so that businesses can do them at home. So you can be like, one of our target audiences is going to be like tier marketing. What is it? Well, I call it pyramid marketing, but like Rodad and Fields and all those guys who are doing a lot of video stuff and doing courses on showing them how to set up their own in-home little video production area where they can get all the gear for like under $1,000, and then they can create consistent videos, because right now they're using their phones and it looks horrible. And then going all the way up to, you know, how to do post-production on X, Y, or Z, but doing full online training courses that we can sell, and then we can also consistently keep engaging with those people and selling more and more and more online education courses. So.
One more. Go ahead. No, you go first.
No, you
Please.
go. No, you go. No, you go, miss.
On the phone, you mentioned to me that you're hoping to have some ASU interns in your company. Can you talk a little bit about that?
For sure. Yes, well, I love ASU because go Sun Devils. And I'm always looking for a chance to teach, because most of what I did was just through being shown by other people how to do it. Like, by the time I got to school, like, I already knew how to do video production. It was more or less I needed a piece of paper. But there are tips and tricks and things that, like, you don't get taught in school that are more applicable to like an actual entrepreneurship type situation than what you're going to learn. And so for me, I would love to be able to kind of share the things that I've learned over the last 3 years in the matter of a semester or a summer or a couple of months or however that works. Things like, okay, we don't need a $10,000 light kit and, you know, a $50,000 space to do this 130-second straight ahead talking to camera video. Like, let me show you how to make this work, and you can be scrappy, but it's still going to look really, really great. It's kind of like, at some point when you're starting your business, it's fake it till you make it, let's be honest. And so it's certain things that I learned along the way that could probably be really helpful for people who are kind of starting on the journey, mostly in video production, but in entrepreneurship in general, or business in general. So, yeah. Did you have one still?
Okay. Oh, no, it's okay. So I don't know if I might be wrong, but you said that you target people 18 to 24, right? How come you don't use Snapchat?
Well, because Wake doesn't have a Snapchat channel. So I haven't dove into Snapchat a lot, honestly. It's not a platform that I speak to my clients in general. So when we went to hire for the position, it wasn't something that we were already like natively familiar with. So it was kind of a quick and dirty, let's do Facebook, let's do Instagram, and let's also post on like job forums and whatever. But Snapchat is its own whole beast that takes its own. I can. Like, thank God that I have other people managing social media, because I don't even want to. It gives me anxiety. I don't know how you guys do it. It gives me super, like, it's, I don't know. But anyway, hooray Snapchat. Yeah, it's just not my platform. That's all that it is. We didn't have a media channel set up. Also, their advertising is a lot different than Facebook and Instagram, just the back end of it. So we just went with our what we knew at the moment. So, and it was an ad that ran for like 4 days, but so it's done, and we found the person. So yay. Anybody else? Yeah.
Okay, so obviously as an entrepreneur, you work really, really hard. And as a business owner, you work really, really hard. And you have a personal life, you just got engaged, so woo! What are things you do to just turn off, unplug, de-stress?
Yeah, I just had this conversation with my fiance last night, actually, because one of the things that I've because I'm starting later in life, I've seen a lot of my younger, they're probably my age now, but colleagues who started early, like with this mindset where it's like there's no infiltrating their thought process of like crush it, which is great because you can be really successful that way. But having gone through like life experiences that I've been through, I don't want to miss out on things that are really, really like that emotionally matter to me. You know, I don't want to miss out on moments because business was like all I cared about. Which doesn't mean that it's bad that other people do that. People have been really successful. But myself personally, I've been through enough to know that like your personal life matters too. So I've learned that you just have to shut it off at some point. Like checking your email during dinner, leave it alone, put it away and be okay with that, you know? And then don't stress out the whole time you're sitting in dinner thinking about the emails that you're missing because your phone's off and in your purse. Like it's actually like letting yourself exhale. I know that one thing I'm really bad at is the whole reading thing. I know that, as an entrepreneur, you should be reading consistently and getting new ideas and learning from others. And, for me, when I get like an hour to not do anything, I don't want to read about business. And it's really bad because I should probably do that more. But like just for my own mental clarity, I just need to shut it down. I try to work out as much as I can because I actually do more thinking and I do a lot of talking to my phone and writing notes or blogs while I'm on the treadmill, which is a weird thought, but like for some reason my brain clears a little bit when I do that. But I play volleyball. Like I try to do stuff that keeps me like sane, but that you can't actually think about work whenever you're doing it. So anything that you like have a hobby on, don't let that slide or slip. And also like just engage with your relationships. Take off the stupid Apple Watch whenever you're like having a conversation with somebody, because feeling this thing beep every time I am like sitting down having a real conversation is so frustrating. It's great whenever I'm turned on, but when you turn it off, you got to take the watch off. I've learned that recently. I just got it like 6 months ago and I love it. It drives me nuts all at the same time. I don't even know if that answered your question. Just balance. Like balance for me plays a big part, and I'm at that weird point where I'm so like busy and stressed out that I'm finding it harder to do it, but I'm making sure now that like, yeah, while hiring people may be stressful and you may have to take a cut on your lifestyle, in order to grow, you have to do it. And in order to keep your sanity, you have to. I can't do everything, and neither can like the people who are currently doing it. So, managing your own expectations and giving yourself some, like, don't give yourself such a hard time because it's not always going to be perfect. And sometimes you're going to be like the a-hole who doesn't pay attention to your spouse or to your boyfriend or whatever for a week, but you'll have time to make up for it. And when you do make up for it big, and just try not to keep doing that consistently. So, yeah.
A couple of times you mentioned a business mentor.
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about mentorship and how you found this particular business mentor?
Yeah, definitely. So when I say the whole surround yourself with people who are awesome, like it helps in so many ways because you can bounce they've been through what you are going through, so it's not so crazy and foreign to them when you feel like you're nuts. One group that Wake Brand Media is a sponsor of a group called Accelerator, and they're a program that is a branch of, it's called EO, Entrepreneurs Organization. To be a part of EO, you have to be doing $1 million in revenue a year, and their network is unbelievable. They have some of the most incredible business people that I've ever met in that group. Accelerator is a group that they started to try to get smaller size businesses into EO, to build them to that place. So it's a support group where they have quarterly like big meetings, and then they have monthly meetings with EO members to go over everything. Like you have to be open book. You literally need to show them your finances, and they go through everything with you. And every month, it's a group of 6 to 7 people meeting and just trying to learn as much as they can to grow their business. And a lot of my clients are actually part of Accelerator or EO, and that's where I've gotten like the wealth of knowledge. And so one of the EO members is a group, like the guy I was talking to before, he's in EO. He's one of the mentors for the Accelerator group, and he's been amazing. He's setting me up with somebody through one of the Accelerator groups to as a female mentor, because he was like, you know, I'm happy to offer you any information, or I'm happy to talk business with you, but you need a female mentor who's been through the things that you've been through. So her and I are going to be hooking up here soon, but I think that that's a really, really great place to for me at least, to start. I mean, finding mentors is tough. I think that if you're able to get into your field and look at, finding small businesses is not hard. You can hop on Google and find anything that you can imagine, but finding a network of people and kind of getting planted in. I know that I can guarantee you ASU offers some sort of resources in some sort of mentorship program. I would be shocked if they didn't, right? Yeah, so take them up on it, because it will change. It brings so much clarity to know that A, somebody's been going through what you've gone through before, and that you don't have to figure it out yourself. You'll have to obviously implement, but having somebody else kind of break it down for you, or at least show support or offer suggestions or ideas that they know could be helpful. Because when you're in it and you're surrounded by all this craziness, it's really hard to sort it out. But when somebody's on the outside looking in, it's a lot clearer. So mentorships, yay. Yeah. You got it? Okay. Hang tight. Oh, I like this skateboard.
So how difficult do you find it being in Arizona, opening your own business legally? Like, how are the laws and the regulations and everything here in Phoenix, as opposed to maybe another state, or just how difficult is that, do you find?
Well, I don't know as opposed to other states, because I've done it here. I haven't expanded or done anything outside of Arizona. My business is, at least it started service-based, so I wasn't selling a physical product. So the city of Phoenix, well, I was a long time ago, but I wasn't selling a physical product. So the city of Phoenix stuff wasn't nearly as tricky, like, as it would be if I sold phones, like at a Sprint store or whatever. It's been really easy. It's been very easy for me. I mean, when you say laws, like, is there anything particular you're asking about? You're talking about just like the paperwork ordeal, or, I mean, it's kind of a pain in the butt to go downtown and submit stuff, but other than that, it's been super easy. It was literally like, look up online what I need to start a business, and there's a million websites per each state that kind of break it down for you, like step by step. Good. Yeah, it's super simple.
Like patent your name, your business name?
Yeah, you know, to start a business in Arizona, you don't even have to like trademark your name or patent your name or anything. Like, there can be 15 businesses with the same name. It's really ridiculous, but I would suggest that you do, because if you go to get the LLC and other things, then yeah, you have to. But to just start a business is super easy. But I mean, things like you want insurance, like things that you start, that's where probably a good mentor or somebody would come in, would be like, okay, based on your type of business, you're probably going to want to consider these certain things. So like for me, I need insurance for a ton of equipment, because if I'm on set and something breaks or something gets stolen or whatever, that's like a big chunk of my assets that go rogue. Also, you know, I need insurance in case one of my crew or somebody gets hurt on set, because that's my responsibility. So things like that, I think, would probably be more intricate, but it's pretty simple to get started. Yeah, anybody else? Anybody else? That's it? Everybody's ready to just start their businesses and just go? No more questions? That's the end. We're good? All right, cool. Oh, yeah, perfect. Well, thank you guys. You guys were awesome. I appreciate it. Thanks for letting me ramble for a while. If I impart any knowledge, then, I mean, I hope I helped in any way, shape, or form. So, rah, rah, entrepreneurs.
Shaina, thank you so much for sharing your experience with us. I want to remind you all, I was going to borrow this for a second, about no vacancy at the Foundry Hotel, downtown Phoenix, Sunday, put together by Hades, Herberger Art and Design Entrepreneurship students. Nicole, do you want to say anything else?
Sure. For anybody that may be interested in taking her up on her offer for internship, how should we go about getting...
Should we sit around and... How about this? How about I leave some business cards out?
Perfect. Grab her business card and get a hold of her. Take her out for some coffee. Awesome. Thank you guys for coming, and if you want to connect with me, I don't have a business card, but I do. But she does. And she can connect through Linda. Awesome. Thanks, guys.